Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Tabby Loves. I'm Tabitha and I talk to you about the things that I love. Today we are doing my April reading wrap-up. This video should come on time. I'm sorry that the last video was late. But without further ado, let's get into it. I will be doing this from my order of least favorite read, or least liked read, to my favorite read of the month. So, yeah. I also might be slightly sick. So you might be able to hear it in my voice a little bit. But if you're willing to ignore it, I'm willing to ignore it. Let's do this. Coming in at my worst read of the month was definitely Your Knife, My Heart. I read about halfway through this book because it was for my Exploring Smut segment. And I forced myself to get that far for you guys. And so I was basically dragging my heels the entire way. And it didn't get better. It just didn't get better. So if you want to see more details about that, you can go to my video. I'll link it somewhere around here. And I'm just going to leave it at that because if I have nothing nice to say, then I just shouldn't say anything at all. Up next, we have another DNF, though this one not as harshly. I did DNF Dark Water Daughter. I've heard such good things about this book, but I was just so bored. I did not like the main character. I felt like sometimes, her personality and her actions were suddenly, I don't want to say different than they were at the beginning, but it seems like she just suddenly, jumped on bandwagons, and she was jumping from, ship to ship to ship. And I was just kind of over it. I found myself not caring about what happens to the characters in the story, and there's nothing more damning for a book than for me to not care about it. So, yeah. I will say, though, it might be a soft DNF. I may be willing to go back to it at some other point. I just wasn't feeling it. And, maybe I would feel it more on a read sometime later down the road, though I did get close to halfway through this one too, so we'll see. It's definitely it could be a little bit up in the air right now. I did like the magic system and I did like the world. I just found everything else to be lacking. But people say such good things about this author, so I wanted to like it. I really did. All right, up next, You Did Nothing Wrong by C.G. Drews. Now, this book got 4 stars, so, I mean, that's a pretty good sign of the books I read this month. The fact that all the books from here are 4 stars and up. Actually, I think this is my only 4-star. I gave a lot of 5 stars. I was just reading a lot of good books, and most of them were audiobooks. However, so this was a physical book, obviously. I love C.G. Drews' writing overall. This is my least favorite book by them so far. However, I felt like it got a lot better in the second half. The second half really, improved my reading experience with this. Because the first half just felt really repetitive. And some of it's, I'm not sure if maybe I was partially in a reading slump because of Your Knife, My Heart. So I don't know if that affected things. I felt like I just wasn't connecting to the main character. Though now I'm not sure if I was even supposed to. It was just a lot of interactions between her and her son, but it was the same thing over and over and over again, which maybe have been on purpose, but I was just struggling to stay tuned into it, with the same thing happening over and over and over. I did see some of the twists coming, but I still thoroughly enjoyed them. And again, I ended up really liking the end of this book. Once we got past the same thing happening over and over again, and we actually started, progressing and learning more about the characters, I became a lot more invested, and that's why it ultimately ended up getting a 4 stars. I was real worried I was gonna have to give it 3 stars there for a second, but like I said, I like the ending enough that it worked its way up to 4. As my buddy read with my friend Rachel that we do more or less every month. We're both busy, so sometimes it varies. But we were reading Aragon. This is I am rereading this book, probably for the 3rd time, I think. But it was her first time reading this series, so it's been fun to see her reactions to this. She is new to the reading spaces, so I wanted to start her out with something like this so that not only could I see the kind of things she does and does not enjoy, but so that I like kind of know what her limits are, that kind of thing. And I love Aragon. And since we both love Fourth Wing, I was like, well, you gotta try Aragon, because I feel like there's so many elements in Fourth Wing that were in Aragon first. So, yeah. And again, reread. I don't change the rating on my rereads unless rereading it, my rating significantly changes. This book has got 5 stars, and that's not changing. So, yeah. The other reread I did this month, y'all are gonna notice something immediately if you've been following along with my videos regularly. So I reread Assassin's Blade. I actually liked this one so much more on a reread, and I don't know if it's because I changed up the order, right? So when I first read Throne of Glass, I read Assassin's Blade first. And this time I read it before Heir of Fire, so I read it third. And I liked that order. I think it was the perfect place to read it, to be honest. Though I stand by that I really like that I read this one first, my first go around for Throne of Glass, because I'm someone that likes to read books, like, in the chronological order of the timeline that's happening, at least for my first read-through, so I'm glad I read Assassin's Blade first, as my first read-through. It made me feel way more connected to Selena going into Throne of Glass than I think I would have otherwise. But like that being said, reading this third places it in such a beautiful position for the way the rest of the story is going to be building up. So reading this third was a great idea. Something else I'm going to be doing a little bit later is I'm going to not do the tandem read for Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. Like I said, my first time reading it, I did do the tandem read because, again, I like reading stuff in the timeline order that it happened, and I was really happy that I did it that way. I'm scared to do it non-tandem read style, but I just, if I want to read other books besides Throne of Glass during this time, then I 100% need to be able to stop in between books. And doing a tandem read with Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn would take me a lot longer. So, yeah. Anyway, though, what you'll notice, what I was hinting at the beginning, is this is my last reread of the month. I didn't get to Heir of Fire because, I don't know, I listen to a lot of audiobooks because I can listen to audiobooks while I'm at work. And I can't read while I'm at work, so the audiobooks are always, like, technically on a different TBR than my physical reads, because they go under, like, a little bit of a different basis. So the rest of the books on this list are my audiobooks, right? Because it took me so long to read this and Aragon, and again, I think it's because Your Knife, My Heart put me in a semi-reading slump. So I was just having trouble picking up, like, honestly anything except for the audiobooks, like I said previously. So I am now a book behind for my Throne of Glass reread. But I'm going to get more into that a little bit later when I talk about my May TBR, because as you get that when I say this is my last physical book too, is I didn't read any of the other physical books on my TBR. So those are all being transferred to the TBR for May, and hopefully I can actually get it done better this time. I don't know. Like, actually complete my TBR. So, yeah. But anyway, 5 stars. I didn't change the rating on my reread, I don't think. So, or maybe I did. I think maybe I originally had this 4 stars. I bumped it up to 5. It doesn't matter. Love it. Alright, up next, I read The Poet Empress, and this book, it really had me, like, doubting it in the first half, right? I was a little bit weary of it. I was I was unsure the direction the story was taking, but there was, like, a point in the middle where suddenly I was hooked. And suddenly I was invested in what was going on. And I was, like, heavily rooting for the main character, you know, as the author intended. And I really liked that this story, the main character, was almost not the main focus of the story. The main focus of the story was this cruel, soon-to-be emperor that she, like, ended up being married to. And, like, his life story and how he became like that. And that kind of took priority over the main character's, like I don't want to say development, because she definitely developed too. It didn't, like, halt it. but her development was almost like alongside reading what had happened in the past to the prince that she was married to. I did see this, like, recommended as a romantasy, and I feel like that is false. Though people say there's absolutely no romance in it whatsoever, I would slightly disagree, just based off of the ending. I'm not going to say spoilers, so I'm not going to say what part of the ending makes me disagree that there was no romance whatsoever. But yeah. I loved it though. I ended up loving it. Because of the ending alone, I gave it 5 stars. And ironically, that same ending also almost made me give it 4 stars out of spite, because I was so upset. But then when I sat down and thought about it, I was like, it's the perfect ending, even though it's not the ending that I was hoping for. It's the ending the book needed. So I bumped it up to 5 stars, especially this being a debut novel. Like, for this being the first novel this author's putting out, it definitely makes me want to follow what this author puts out in the future. So, yeah. Moving on to, I try to read a classic every month. I failed last month. This classic that I read this month was supposed to be the one I wanted to read last month, but it didn't come in on time. But beside the point, I read Carrie by Stephen King, and let me tell you, the book was a lot more, like, I'm not 100% different from the movie. The movie still hit the same beats, and I'm talking about, like, the original Carrie movie, not the newer one, even though the newer one's, like, 2012 now at this point, or something like that. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Though I also, like, I couldn't remember if I just hadn't seen the Carrie movie in so long that I, like, forget some of the stuff happens, or if it was, like, actually different. But that being said, I thoroughly enjoyed the Carrie book. I liked that it was showing, like, the aftermath of what happens in the auditorium. And I'm not going to care about spoilers. Carrie's been out since, like, the 80s. So, but when Carrie kills a lot of people in the auditorium, and, like, not outfall, what am I trying to say? The consequences, I guess I can use consequences. The consequences of that to the greater world, and, like, the interviews about what happened, the way that, like, the government gets involved, there's this classification of people that have, like, powers like Carrie, and it's, like, a known phenomenon. I thought all of that was actually really cool. Yeah, I've been wanting to read more Stephen King, because Stephen King's books are such a hit or a miss with me. Like, I feel like sometimes I will read a Stephen King book and I'm like, this book is so meh. Sometimes I'll read a Stephen King book and I'm like, this is why he's famous. Like, I've liked it, but I did not like Fairy Tale. But I like Carrie. So, yeah. But I don't know what my next classic's gonna be. I don't have one lined up, so there might not be one in May. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Alright, we're in the final 2 books of this list. And I am so happy to say that I started my deep dive into Emily Henry, which is something I've been wanting to do. Is I have a list of authors that I wanted to theoretically read their entire backlog, and then, like, make videos about, like, the reading order that I prefer or whatever, or, like, my favorites to least favorites, all of that, right? So Emily Henry is the first one that I've started to actually take the steps towards doing that, and I'm so glad I did. Like, I have only ever read Funny Story by Emily Henry. I have it on my shelf over here. Hold on. I only have ever read Funny Story by Emily Henry, but I loved it. And it was, like, several years ago that I read this book. So I was like, you know, I wanted to read more of hers because I liked Funny Story so much. So I started with A Great Big Beautiful Life, which this book got 5 stars. I loved the setup. The romance at first, I was like, they are falling in love way too fast. But I liked all of the surrounding story that we were getting from the socialite. I won't go too much into it, obviously, because, again, I try to avoid spoilers. Except for Carrie, because, again, that book's been out since the 80s. What are you doing? Anyway, But I liked the socialite story. I liked the kind of, I don't want to say plot twists, but like what happened at the end I really enjoyed. Like I liked the dynamic between the couple, and just overall beautiful story. No notes. And then after that I read and greatly enjoyed, and I think it's my favorite book of the month. I couldn't choose between these two which one was my favorite, which is why I'm including them in the same video. But Book Lovers by Emily Henry, I see why this is her most popular book. The setup, the character work itself, absolutely fantastic. Like I was obsessed. It honestly has kind of thrown me into wanting to read a lot of contemporary romances. Like, it's putting me in a contemporary romance mood. I am getting all of my audiobooks through my library, though, so the library holds dictate what I read more than I do. So I do have another contemporary romance lined up to start my next shift at work. So I'm definitely going to be continuing on that train. But I can't wait to add more Emily Henry books to my list. I own another one of her books. I own Beach Read, so that one will probably be making an appearance the next time I actually get to make a TBR and not just recycle the old TBR because I haven't finished it. I have high hopes for May. But yeah, anyway, Great Big Beautiful Life, Book Lovers, loved them both. I, obsessed, definitely going to continue diving into Emily Henry. Once I read all of her books, you'll be seeing an Emily Henry video here soon. Anyway, let's move on to the TBR for May. Alright, so, this is my TBR for May. I have already started, because I'm filming this in, like, May, what day is it? May 4th? So, I've already started, and I'm starting with Dungeon Crawler Carl, because my mom, who is not a reader, is obsessed with this series, and she really wanted me to read it, so that's my gift to her for Mother's Day, is me reading this book for her. I'm like a little bit of the way in. I think I'm like 50 pages into this book. And you know what? I'm like, it's okay so far. I'm not like blown away thrilled, but I also know, like, I mean, I play video games. I know that it's going to get a lot more interesting once we get past the tutorial parts. So you know, I'm ready to see where this is going to lead me and where this is going to go. And then after that, after I finish Dungeon Crawler Carl, I want to hop in and finish the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. So I want to read Well of Ascension, and then I want to read The Hero of Ages. And this is going to be a bigger undertaking than I was expecting, because these don't look that long. And then I think last month when I looked at the length, this book is 785 pages, and I think this one's like a little bit less, but it's still 752 pages. So these are both 700 page beasts. But I will be hitting these next, no matter what. I will be hitting these next. There's one exception. I say no matter what, and then immediately, actually, but my buddy read that I do with my friend Adia will come first, probably. And, we're gonna be doing Neon Gods by, oh my god, Katie Robert, I think it was her name. But yeah, so that's gonna be fun. But then, yeah, after that, hitting these. I think I've talked about it before, but my Exploring Smut segment for May, I'm going to be doing Meat. I'm nervous for it. I don't think I'm going to enjoy it, but we will see. And then, after that, we are going to hit and try to catch up on the Throne of Glass reread. So we'll be hitting Heir of Fire, which I also know, this is really ambitious because all of these books are long as hell as well. But I'm ready for the challenge. I do greatly enjoy SJM's books, so I feel like I can get through them quickly, which is why I'm also hoping for these Brandon Sanderson books, because I enjoyed Mistborn so much. I'm hoping that I'll just be able to devour these, and the length doesn't matter. But we'll see. You know, there's only so much time in the week. But yeah, Heir of Fire. I was supposed to read this last month and didn't, so this is going to be the catch-up one. And then I get to dive into Queen of Shadows, and then Empire of Storms, because like I said, I'm not doing the tandem read, so we're gonna have a real fiery, emotional May. Yeah. And I think that's it. That's my May TBR. Here's to hoping that I can actually complete it this time. Like, again, I know it's ambitious. These books are huge. They are a lot of pages. I just need to log in, and I just need to do it. I just need to do it. And then one final thing before I finish off this video is, it is the end of quarter 1 of the year. So, I'm going to update what I'm going to be working on for my personal curriculum stuff. I have 3 things I'm going to be focusing on for quarter 2. One of them, which is the, like, main kind of class kind of thing that I'm doing, is I'm going to focus on poetry. So I got this book, Don't Read Poetry, a book about how to read poems, so that I can kind of, like, I want to be able to read poems and, like, look at them at a deeper level. So I'm hoping that's what this book will teach me. And then alongside that, I have the best poems of the English language from, oh my god, what's his name? Chaucer? Already off to a bad start. From Chaucer to Robert Frost. But yeah, I have a giant book of poems here so that I can use what I learned from this book into reading actual poems. And I'm hoping to, like, write some of my own poems. Whether or not they meet the light of day is we'll see. We'll see. If I'm particularly proud of a poem, I might post it. But I am mostly doing this because of my writing craft, because I am writing a book. If you've been on my page, you would know that. And I am hoping that doing this, like, quarter to really dive into poetry and study poems and all of that, I'm hoping that I can make my writing more lyrical, kind of. More, like, aesthetic is kind of a stupid word for it, because you can't really see it. But I'm hoping to make my writing more lovely, my prose better, by looking at poems and trying to, like, practice writing poems, etc., etc. And then after that, for my spiritual kind of thing that I like to do every quarter, I'm going to be reading Monday Magic, A Lazy Witch's Guide to Hacking Your Brain, Building a Daily Practice, and Getting Stuff Done. I really struggle to keep up with chores, and I also really struggle to keep a kind of daily or regular, if you could say, practice with my magic. I am so off and on with it. And, like, some of that's, like, normal. Like, everything goes through seasons, and sometimes my, I don't want to say dedication, but my motivation, my desire to be, like, one with my craft. That's a weird way to put it. But that also kind of comes and goes at some points randomly throughout the year for me, too. But I'm hoping this can kind of help me establish a more regular routine, and it might, I hope it helps with the one thing I've struggled with for a very long time. And then finally, and I don't have the coloring book yet. It's gonna arrive any minute now. But I'm gonna be doing coloring as my third and final class for this second quarter. I really want to get into doing more visual kind of art on top of the writing that I've been doing. And I feel like coloring is a great place to start, because I can, not only is it relaxing and less of a stress, like less stress filled. Is that the word I want to use? I'm just gonna say relaxing. I'm gonna leave it at there. It's a nice relaxing activity I can do. It's something that I can get better at with practice. I can practice using different, I almost said utensils, but like different, like, markers and color pencils and all of that. And I eventually want to get back into actually drawing, but I feel like if I'm confident in colors and coloring, then when I do get back into drawing, it will make it, like, easier for me to make complete works of art instead of just drawing and then not wanting to color because I'm scared I'm gonna mess it up. So yeah. But that's the basis of what my curriculum is going to look like for quarter 2. I kind of failed a little bit with my quarter 1. It was too ambitious. I did complete the main segment on Dragon Magic for the spiritual part. For I think the first month I did read a poem, a short story, and an article a day, but that just became unrealistic for me, and I definitely fell off of it and just never got back on. But I think focusing on right now poetry, the third unit short stories, I think focusing on them separately will do wonders for me instead of trying to do it all at once. Because I think that was the biggest thing with my personal curriculum the first time around, is I was trying to do too much and not having the time to do it. Like, I have a very busy work schedule, so I don't have necessarily time to do everything I want to accomplish. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, if you've made it to the end, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a like. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm really hoping that I can make a better dent into this pile. Because I'm just going to get more and more behind on Throne of Glass if I don't pull it together, and I want to finish Mistborn, and I want to go back to being able to use my wheel and pick prompts to do my TBR. I want it more than anything, but I must finish what I said I was going to finish first. But anyway, love you guys. See you in the next video. Goodbye.